What are those certifications and how was that process?
Yeah, so I started off the traditional route going to school. But what I will say is that, I've done it all. I've done the certifications. I've invested in boot camps. I've invested in degrees. I've invested in certifications. All of them I think all of them are great, right? But what's going to be most important is your commitment to learning, right? That's why we see sometimes individuals who are self-taught, who are, for lack of a better word, running circles on a lot of people because, they don't hide behind the certification, the badge. They don't hide behind the title.
Mm.
They stand off the body of work that they've actually done, the projects that they've actually done. And most people they obsess over the degrees, over the certification, over the boot camp, or the badge. You want to obsess over who you are becoming, the skills that you are acquiring over time, not the badges and certifications. So those are great. I have those, right? But what I pride myself most on is the people I'm able to service, the people I'm able to service through the skills I've acquired over time.
All right, cool. Cool. And so you're an entrepreneur as well, right?
Yeah, so I do speaking. That's my side business. I do speaking. Um, you know, Speaking is very, very important to me. I like inspiring people to action and giving them tangible skills. I talk about topics such as STEM, leadership development, early career development. Those are kind of my main lanes as of right now.
Okay.
But more to come. More to come.
And what certifications pertain to IT do you have?
In IT, so I have a few. So I have Security Plus, CompTIA Security Plus. I have AWS Solutions Architect Associate, AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner. I also have Linux LPI Linux Essentials, so it's a Linux certification. And I also have the other certificate. I keep forgetting the names. FinOps Foundation, certified in FinOps and certified FinOps engineer as well. So I have certification in those different domains as of today.
And I noticed you didn't say A plus. I noticed you didn't say IT fundamental.
Yeah,
And it kind of hits home to what I explain to people that these are not necessarily essential, which is what a lot of people need to understand
yeah.
when they're going into tech. So this breaking into tech program is unique and different because I don't want people to think that they have to go the traditional route,
No, you
which
don't
is
have to. No.
which it creates a hurdle and a short stop
Hmm.
when you put yourself on the market
Hmm.
because you invested all this time, you invested, and this is really not your craft. And would you say that passion has a lot to do with your ability to perform?
Yeah, that's a good question, brother. So, yeah, so a lot of people ask me, hey, if I want to if I want to get in tech for the money, is that okay? I say, hey, it's okay on the condition that you have the curiosity and the commitment to invest in yourself and your skills, and put in the work, right? I will say though, if you're not passionate about this, you won't get far, right? I believe passion is developed. Now, if you want to get far, you'll have to develop that passion. The way you develop that passion is by your commitment to self-development, right? Uh, you know, um, especially as far as the degrees you talked about, right? Like, yeah, I'm a fan of formal education. At the same time, I do understand that not everybody has the cash or capital to go into school immediately. I think you want to ensure that if you're going to go to school, ask yourself who's paying for it. Let's just say you're at a company that you broke into tech with, and they want to pay for your degree. Take it. In my opinion, I think you should take it, right? If they're paying for your boot camp, paying for a course, take it. And as far as the A plus, IT fundamentals, again, like I said earlier, the content that you learn from the A plus is much more important than the certification itself,
Hmm.
right? The IT fundamentals, because at the end of the day, right, tech evolves. It's always going to be compute networking and storage. It's always going to be that way. So if you understand that the tree thing of technology is the tree, the root of the tree is always going to be compute network and storage, regardless of what technology we're doing. Today it's cloud, tomorrow it's AI, today it's AI, tomorrow it's AI, or whatever the next thing is. Did I hope to answer the question?
Yes, 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 yes. Passion, and then you hit something at home that I didn't even have to ask you. The basics of certain aspects that are not going to go away: computing, networking, and storage.
It's like basketball.
Right. And those are the jobs that AI can't really replace. There's certain aspects of AI that it just can't replace the human element. So now I leave it up to Maurice. I don't know what your background situation, but if you can if you can put yourself on the camera for a second, and we're gonna kind of close it up with the first interview. If you got any questions and Q&As, can you feel free just go ahead and ask those questions?
Unfortunately, I don't have a camera on me, but
All right, that's cool. What questions do you have?
um, um, what do you think about the Server Plus?
Again, with the Server Plus, I don't think it's a horrible. I don't think A plus is horrible. I don't think IT Foundations or Server Plus. I don't think any of those certifications are inherently bad. What I think is, if you're going to pursue the Server Plus, right? Number one, ask yourself who's paying for it. If it's your company that's paying for it and they say, "We'll pay for you for to get the cert," hey, I recommend taking it, right? But
Okay.
what's most important, again, Maurice, is the skills that you acquire in learning. So if you just, get the study guide that they have, what do they call that? Exam guides, right?
Mhm.
If you just print out the exam guide and study those topics, build a home lab, build a project with that, you'll just be just fine. I don't think the Server Plus, as far as, a certification that HR or hiring managers are looking for, I don't think they're looking for that one in particular. The Security Plus, for example, or Network Plus, those are heavier because, especially Security Plus because it's a DoD requirement. The federal government requires those, right? Or to do any work in regards to a company with the federal government, you have to be Security Plus certified. If that makes sense. So, just be mindful that Server Plus, learn the skills of Server Plus. Understand how to do server administration, Linux administration, right? Active Directory. These are valuable. Even today, I don't work on Active Directory. I do a little bit of work on Linux, and I realized, the better I understand the technology, the better I can advise on risk management. So study the concepts of server. Matter of fact, I would recommend taking a Linux administration course. I think that will serve you much better than Server Plus.
Yeah, the reason why he asks you that. Oh yeah, by the way, I can show you the book. Because he's actually studying for his server plus. So
Okay,
so
gotcha.
so it came in,
Okay,
So that's the reason why he asked you that. I actually have the server plus,
okay.
but one thing I will tell you is that he's absolutely right. You're not going to find no, to me, you maybe like 0.5% chance that you may find a job that looks for that certification
Mhm.
because many companies don't know it exists.
Right. They
And
don't
so a lot of people
know.
that work at the data center, they have Linux. A lot of individuals that work at a data center, they have, of course, everybody, no matter what your job role, they want you to have a security plus. That's why I said server and security plus. But the reason why he's taking this server plus is because he likes hands-on. So
Okay.
I said instead of taking the A plus, which is a core part, which is two,
Yeah.
core one and core
Yep. Yep.
two,
Yep.
and all this legacy information that no one really cares about, and most of it's not even best practice. I said, instead of getting you a job at Geeks for God, we're gonna well Geek Squad, we're gonna look at for something long term. If we
Hmm.
start you off at Geek Squad, we're gonna try to get you into a data center where you
Hmm.
can be a server administrator.
Oh yeah,
So,
bro.
some of the
Yeah.
things he's going to be learning is Linux.
Oh yeah.
Some
Yeah.
of the things he's going to be learning is PKI, public key
Oh, that's a
infrastructure,
wrap.
and,
That's a
and,
wrap.
and things of that
That's a
nature.
wrap. Yeah.
So I'm like, I feel like this because what I noticed with some people resume, they would they have a cover letter. If they can't put it on their resume, because you want to keep your resume like to one page or
Yeah.
2 pages.
Ideally,
In,
yeah.
in
Because
the cover letter, you can put the details of what and how this certification serves you.
hmm
You can speak more to it. And so with the server plus, because I want him to target the data centers all in Virginia. I'm trying to get him into a data center so
Oh
he can
yeah, this
start
would be
off with
good.
his hands-on,
Yeah.
and then within a year or two, he can work remotely as an administrator.
Yeah. So
That's the path
bro,
we're going.
I bet Maurice, what he just gave to you is literally the cheat code, right? Because if you understand that, this makes sense. Now that you're working at data center with your hands up, yes, get the server plus. Forget what I said. You didn't know, But I would say, but I would definitely say, Maurice, is that people, right? A lot of people they want to get into cloud, right? They want to understand cloud,
Mm,
right? It's hard to understand. It's hard to have appreciation for cloud if you never worked in a data center, right?
that's
I
deep.
used to go to data centers. I used to do security audits on data centers, right? The cold data centers, that cold aisle, the
Mm-hmm.
hot aisle,
Yep.
and the
Cool.
cold aisle in the
Yep.
data center, moving all the cables around and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to have appreciation for cloud if you don't understand, data centers. And guess what? Here's another thing, right? Companies, you hear about cloud all the time, but companies are not going completely cloud. They're going hybrid.
Yeah.
Some companies are coming back off the cloud. They're going
Yeah.
on-prem. They're
Yeah.
realizing, what, they need to be more intentional on their IT, what they're
Mm-hmm.
investing in. So you understand the architecture of the data center, the different hardware components, the tools that make a data center, how to effectively manage a data center, right? All the people involved. Man, that will go a long way. The reason why I say that is because no matter what new technology comes out, you understand the fundamentals. You can't call yourself a professional hooper if you can't do a layup.
Mhm.
Guess what LeBron James and Kyrie Irving are doing before every game? They're in the layup lines doing layups. They're doing basic dribbles. That's what Kobe was doing. That's what Jordan was doing, right? All these different basketball players, what were they always constantly practicing? The fundamentals. Even me, I'm year 5 going to year 6. I have to review my Linux fundamentals every now and again. I have to review my Python fundamentals.
Good.
I have to review the OSI model, the networking fundamentals. Why? Because that never changes, as Yamalik was saying earlier.
Sir. Sir, any more questions, Maurice? Any feedback?
Have you ever built a server before?
Built a server from the ground up, like built a server like hardware. No, I've created like virtual machines, like you mean that type of server, like a web server, like Nginx web server on a virtual machine, like a Linux instance. Yeah, I've done that before.
So you've never built a server before?
Well, off like you're talking about I built a server from scratch like with my hands, no. But like built it off the keyboard virtually, yes.
Cool.
But if you built a server before, that distinguishes you in the marketplace. Most people can't say they do that. So
Yeah.
you're in good hands. Y'all listen to Yamalik. You're in good hands.
Yeah, we got a few servers at our office where we're gonna have him actually take them apart, put them together.
Oh, it's a wrap.
You teach them the difference between a tower, a rack mount,
Oh, yeah, it's a
and a
wrap.
blade server.
A blade server. I said blade server. Yeah, it's a wrap. Yeah, because people want to talk. Because here's the thing, right? If you understand this stuff down to a T, right? All the different pieces, all the hardware that go into building a server. If you really understand that down to the T, guess what companies want to hire you? The NVIDIAs.
That's a good
The
point.
NVIDIAs want to hire you. If
Yeah,
you
that's a
understand the
good line.
architecture of data centers, right? You understand GPUs, you understand volumes, you understand all the different storage types, all the hardware that goes into that, bro. Maurice, hang out with Yamalik, bro. This is your best friend, bro. This brother is what we call a plug. This is your plug.
Sure. All right. Well, I definitely appreciate you.
Of course, my buddy.
Yes.
Always, man. Y'all doing God's work, man. This is it right here, man.
Yeah.
You know, supporting one
Yes.
another, pushing our mission forward, which is to service our communities and push our families forward. So this is it, man. Y'all
Yes.
doing it.
Yes.
All
And I
right.
appreciate you because you're part of that.
Hey,
That's
man,
it,
we
hey.
do what we can, man.
Right.
It don't make sense to win. You can't call yourself a winner if you're not helping anyone else win.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. All right.
All right.
On to the next interview.
All right. All right, Maurice, have a blessed day, brother.
You too.
Yeah, I'm like, you the man, bro. You next level, dog. Brother Maxwell. Nice meeting you. Nice meeting you, brother. God bless, man. Be easy, man. I'll be seeing you around. Appreciate it, brother. Look at that. No problem. Appreciate it. Who lives in that? Yes, sir. Live in that life. Yes, sir.
All right. You know it. All right now. All right. This is Maurice Van Loo.
Nice to meet you, Maurice.
Nice to meet you too.
Give him
Yeah.
your
My
name.
name is Maxwell Myers. Currently I work at Microsoft as a software engineer, and I also have a company called LinkedIn or Left Out LLC. At Microsoft right now, I'm a software engineer under the Microsoft Edge team. So what I do specifically is I work on embedded systems such as Microsoft's WebView 2. So just a little bit about that. If you've ever used like Microsoft Teams or Outlook or any of those are all rendered on WebView 2. And that's the product that my team works on building. So in terms of like the stack that I work on, I work with C++, and I work, basically I develop APIs and I build different components of like the browser. So like different things you use on Microsoft Edge, for example, and then different things that are rendered using that WebView 2 product that I mentioned earlier. That's kind of what I do on a day-to-day basis. But yeah.
Okay. Okay. And so what did that journey look like at the beginning? Like tell me back to the time when you first had the idea of breaking into tech and why, and what did that look like for you?
I think with tech, the main thing for me was that I've always been interested in like tech products, for example, like for example, like the PlayStation, like I grew up playing PlayStation. I was always watching like the new, like whenever they would drop like the new console, like the PlayStation 3, the PlayStation 4,
Right.
I'll be watching the releases and all
So you
that
had the
kind of
original
stuff.
PlayStation? Did you have the
Yeah,
great one?
yeah. My dad got like he would go out and
Yeah.
then he would pre-order the console.
Back when they had the jam pack?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. We used to be playing that. Yep, exactly.
You might be a little too young for that, Maurice. You probably, don't know. You probably had the PS4, the PS3. But yeah,
Actually, my godbrother has a PS2, I think, but
the PS2. Yeah.
Yeah, but basically that's where it all started.
Right.
You know, I grew up playing video games, being on all the consoles, and then that translated into my love of technology. So when I got to college, or specifically my senior year of high school, I started to think about what I was going to major in when I went to university. I followed the traditional path of just going through university. And my freshman year of college, I actually like started with computer science, and I was not feeling it at all. I failed my first calc exam. I failed my first computer science exam. And I had a talk with my mom, and I was like, yeah, I don't think this is for me. So I was thinking about switching my major and
Mhm.
trying to do something else. And she kind of gave me a pep talk and had me like really just lock in and think about the future that I could have if I could work through it.
Now, why do you feel like it wasn't for you? Why would you think that you were failing the computer science?
The thing that I think why I thought I was failing is because I had never like outrightly failed at that time until that moment. So like receiving like I got a 48 out of 100 on my first calc. Like I still remember that to this day,
Right.
like a 48 out of 100 on my first calc exam. And then I think I got like a 20 something percent on my first computer science exam. And I was like, you know, like I never had done something that was challenging enough that made me actually like, you know, proactively study for something and put in like 100% into that subject so I can actually learn it, so that when I get to the exam, for example, I can apply what I've learned. It was kind of like I was going through the motions in school, and I feel like I was smart enough to figure stuff out. But once I got to college, I kind of hit like that wall where it's like now the real work begins, where you have to apply yourself and make sure you're proactively on top of studying and that type of stuff.
Hmm.
But once I kind of got past that, you know, I had that pep talk with my mom, I started to realize how much I was capable of when I sat down and applied myself and actually tried to learn some of the fundamental topics, kind of like
Did you
Yeah.
do you think the computer science was dull? Like, because I noticed like certain students at Howard that I know, they're actually part of the team. The brothers were telling me like
it's
they
very
didn't get
dull.
it, yeah, but they didn't get a lot of hands-on experience until they get into the internship. And which was a good thing about it, good thing that it was an internship,
Yeah.
because a lot of employers would have not liked that had
Exactly.
it would have been an extern, or if you was trying to come and volunteer, because they got to do a lot more work. But with an internship, they have an expectation for that. And a lot of them didn't like that. He was like, man, I didn't get no experience until 2 years with inside of my degree.
I 100% agree. I think it was two main things that made me like not as engaged, say, as like another subject. So it's definitely the lack of like application, number one, because I felt like I was in class and I was like, what am I going to do with like what I'm learning right now? I was like thinking like, you know, you type hello world and you do those types of programming, but it's like, what situation are you actually going to use that in? And that's one of the things that kind of like made me want to switch at first as well. And then the second thing was, I feel like with computer science, there's a lot of stuff that you have to learn to even get a grasp of like where you're looking big picture wise.
Right.
It's kind of like, I don't know. Let's imagine like there's that wall right there. You can only
Okay.
see like a small chunk when you start, but like once you start building everything out and you're consistent with your studying, then you can kind of see
Map
like the
everything
big
out.
picture and
Right.
why everything starts to fit together. So I actually didn't do my first internship until after my sophomore year as well. And that's when I actually started to get that positive feedback and understand that the fundamental skills that I built in those past 2 years actually started to pay off, because now I'm working on products that
Right.
are facing users, and I'm talking directly to customers and building things that they want to see in products and changing the way that people experience using different products.
Right.
So I 100% agree that it's like, you know, until you're working on something that's interesting to you, it's going to feel like you're wasting your time in some regards, but it's like also there is that fundamental level of work that you have to do to understand like how you can build those products that people want, for example.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Let's go another next question. All right. So what certifications do you have?
I actually don't have any certification.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I think certifications So like I think certifications are good in the sense of like just like before, like the information that you're learning is the most important part. And then additionally, like, you know, you have the certifications that are requirements you like that you have to get for like certain roles, right? Me specifically, since I'm like more along the like software engineering path, I don't like the career path that I've been going along, I don't necessarily need certifications, but I think the
Mm.
information that you learn from getting those certifications is the most important part. And then additionally, if your career path has those certifications that you know, are requirements, then getting those is like a no-brainer. Like you know, you got to put in the work to get
Right.
those. But you know, the same thing, education, like higher education, boot camps, certifications. I think the core of all those three things is
Knowledge
that knowledge.
and the practical skills.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
You can
concur
never
with
take
that.
away learning. Yeah.
Especially the part where you said because of the path that you're taking, it doesn't really require you to have certifications. And that's one thing that everybody needs to kind of understand, that it depended, there's so many different paths within IT, and then cybersecurity falls under that. And then there's so many different paths within inside of cybersecurity, and not all of them really require. So it's like needing to know what direction you want to go in the short term, midterm, and long term, and then exactly what that will require needs. So
Exactly.
especially with a lot of people that I know with coding and software development, they really just want to know, what can you do? What languages do you have? You know what I'm saying? Like, and how many, what could you develop? You batch script, or do you know how to do cloud infrastructure?
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? You know how to build pipelines.
Exactly.
Do you understand how to debug frameworks? Like, those are the things that they kind of look at. I will say that there is some jobs that are requiring people to have a security plus. Have you ever encountered that on the?
I would say any type of like government role that I've like seen, especially when I'm applying, like those are the ones where I'm like, all right, yeah, that's where Security Plus would come in handy. Growing up, like I think I had a lot of government exposure because my dad worked in federal government.
Mhm.
So like it wasn't particularly the path that I wanted to go, but like thinking along like later down the line when I think about like doing career pivots and things along those lines, and even getting into like potentially like doing like government consulting and those things, Security Plus would definitely make me stand out like within that group as well. So I think, did I answer your question?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
okay,
yes,
all right,
yes,
yeah.
you did.
Okay.
Now you said you're an entrepreneur. Can you speak to that transition of
Yeah.
and how it ties into your security experience?
Yeah, so with being an entrepreneur, like basically what I do right now is I help candidates break into interviews, or I help candidates break into tech companies via doing like mock interviews. So like what I've been specifically focusing on in terms of like I guess what I've been learning and how I've been trying to build my company, trying to understand every leg of the recruitment process so that we can kind of operationalize that
Right.
and help people understand everything they need to do when they're trying to get into these tech companies. So like studying all those different things, like the technical interview, what are they looking for? How are they grading you, especially when they're
Mm.
trying to understand how you communicate how you're problem solving,
Mhm.
your problem solving skills, your behavioral skills, all of those things, breaking those things down into a way that people can understand them. Because, like, say, for example, when they say you're not a fit for this role, like you don't fit this culture or something like that, like that's not good feedback. How can you break that feedback down into something that somebody can actually understand and then like take that feedback and then, you know, iterate and become a
Right.
better fit, for example? Those are the types of things that we try to do.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see if there's any other question. Um, I think for me, that's all my questions. I think you kind of already heard the direction, I'm taking Maurice through.
Mhm.
Do
That's
you
really
have,
good.
yeah, do you have any feedback for him for that?
Honestly, I think I think your plan is that's an amazing plan because I think in any discipline, getting to like or starting with like for example with the hands-on of like literally you're in the data center, you're working with the like the racks and the GPUs and all that type of stuff, and then going all the way to the level where you're actually working on the cloud infrastructure and so on. Like having that full scope picture is the thing that's going to make you like a subject matter expert, like,
Mhm.
and nobody will ever be able to take that away from you, and you will always be desirable in any job market because you can never, you can pretty much never find somebody that understands something from 0 to 100. It's like people typically, they pick one area to study, but it's like if you start with the basic level fundamentals and then you review those fundamentals as you start to like, progress
Right.
through your career, nobody will ever understand like to that degree that you understand because you've sat there, you've worked with it hands on, you built these machines like by hand. And like, for example, like my co-founder at this time, he's studying like operating systems because he really wants to understand how everything works literally from the ground, from the lowest level. And it's like when you take that lowest level and try and understand that, and then you build your way up,
Mhm.
that is the best way to understand a subject because you have that full picture of like everything that's going on.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay.
Yeah.
And
I think that plan is solid. It's definitely solid.
thank you.
Yeah.
I think he will also be able to help you in the future, Maurice, when you're ready to actually prepare yourself. Because you remember his
For sure.
entrepreneurship role is helping people build those resumes that are actually prepare them for
Exactly.
these kind of these interviews and these positions.
Yeah.
Uh, at this point, I open up the floor to you, Maurice. What questions do you have?
So, let me think for a sec.
Take your time.
Um, so have you like worked at a data center before, or
Could you say the last part one more time?
have you ever worked at like a place like Google or like
Yeah.
Facebook?
So right, I work at Microsoft right now. I haven't worked at Google or Facebook specifically though.
Have you considered working there?
Yeah, I've considered working at Google and Facebook. The thing right now, I guess, is um I think honestly, I'm probably gonna leave like the big tech scene. I'm more I find like the work that I do more fulfilling in terms of like my startup and like trying to
Mhm.
help people break into careers. I do think like the big tech, like, the Facebook, Apple, Amazon, those types of companies, I think their companies are really good to learn like how to navigate the corporate scene. But um in terms of like my own vision of my career, I'm starting to move towards like leaving the big tech scene and focusing on like entrepreneurship.
That's cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
But I
cool.
have like coworkers and friends. A lot of my friends work like within, all of these types of companies as well. So as you start to apply and like you build up those skills, also like, any time just reach out because I have a network where we can like hook up some referrals and that type of stuff as well.
Okay.
All right.
Any other questions?
That's it.
All right, cool. It was nice meeting you, Maurice.
Nice to meet you too.
I appreciate the opportunity as well. Yeah.
I appreciate you. Right.
All right. Take care.
You too.
All right.
You can take it.
All right.
Take care.
All right. This is Maurice Van Low. You let them know your name, your experience, and we got you into the tech space.
Yeah, so my name is Tyree Dixon. I'm
Nice
from
to
Atlanta.
meet you.
Yeah, man. So what I do in the tech space, so I'm a Linux system engineer. And what was the other question?
And what got you into the tech space?
Okay, what got me to the tech space? So I'm a former college ball player. I played college baseball, and I ended up my last year playing college baseball was actually in 2023, right? So while I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do the rest of my life, because I've been playing ball for 15 years, I first started at a broadcasting engineering spot, right? So right there, I learned how to automate playlists and perform market switches. So from there, I said, man, let me try out tech. So I enrolled in a boot camp, and that's where they taught me the fundamental of Linux. And from learning the fundamentals of Linux, I was very passionate. So I went from Linux administration to Linux engineering, which what considers me a Linux engineer is me knowing how to know. I mean, I know an automation tool called Ansible, right? And Ansible is where you write playbooks to patch servers, vulnerabilities, and bugs. So, and also my everyday tasks within my Linux system engineering is managing systems, right? So I'm creating bash scripts, right? I'm doing firewall configuration. I'm configuring my servers. Um, creating playbooks. So all of that storage management, all of those things that I do create make me a Linux system administrator / engineer.
Okay. Um, so, um, how, what did that process look like when you first started to study? Like, in other words, like, was it challenging? Like, what cert did you start off? If you have any certifications, what was the first language or tool you had to use? And did you find it challenging? And if so, um, why and how did you deal with it? If you didn't find it challenging, why? And and how did it play out for you initially when you started to get the practical experience?
So when I first started, it was very challenging, very, very challenging. And the first certification that I got was a Linux system administration, which is the EX 209K certification. And when I got that certification, like the work it took towards that, it took me 6 or 7 months. So I really had to grasp because I didn't come from a tech background, right? In college, I studied business administration. So I was a business administration degree. I went from that to the tech space, right? So for me, understanding and learning Linux, I had to first learn file and directory structure. And then from there, I would create different projects, and each week I would go from that. And then I did storage management. I had to understand disk and partitions and archivals and everything that relates around that. So I had steps and I broke it down literally to 6 to 7 months, right? And then from there, I went to a certification prep mode where everything that was on my exam I prepared for. So
Okay. All right. And how do you let's see. Tell me what far is it now? Because when I first talked to you about it, you had like a lot of passion, right?
correct,
Um,
100%.
what exactly is it like? What particularly gives you your passion? In other words, and what is that particular passion about Linux? That you have, and in the future, what do you see yourself like evolving and transitioning that to, if you thought that far yet?
Yeah, so as far as the passion comes from just studying, man, honestly I wasn't at first like everybody else says, man, this is a good paying job. Let me go ahead and try to go get the certifications so I can go get that high paying job. But then I really started spending hours and hours upon hours in it, and I just fell in love with the process. Just like I said, storage management, networking. I loved to go through that process and get everything down to its core. So from there, learning all those skills, right? Now what's next? So what's next is I now want to get into Kubernetes. That's and as far as me being a system engineer, I now want to move into DevOps engineer. So that's what it looks like for the future. That's where I'm aspiring to be within the next year or two. So
Okay. Um, hmm. Now I'm gonna ask you something that's kind of different. That's kind of different from everything else. Let's see. Do you have any do you have any experience like with taking a computer, putting a computer together, disassembling or assembling a computer or even a server? If not, how foreign does that sound? And could you see how they may tie into Linux?
that's first of all, that's very foreign. I deal with the software side, so
Yeah.
I can configure VM, CPU storage, the disk. I do all of that from the software standpoint, but to configure everything as far as from a hardware physical standpoint, that's not my strong suit. So that's very foreign to me. I actually want to get more practice when doing that, right?
Mm.
Of doing that. So
That's good. And the reason why I asked that is because the direction that you're going, Maurice, would really set you apart because like I gotta remember Abdi. There we go. Just like the brother Abdi that you interviewed, which is the first person he was trying to explain to you that man, systems administration dealing with Linux would be the next level because now you understand everything from the physical standpoint. When you get into the administration and go into the cloud, you know exactly how to manage the cloud because you understand the struggles from the hardware level. So you know what's going on actually on-prem. You know what's going on site. So you would have a more specialized and more in-depth analysis and to come to the table with because of all of your experience on a hardware level, which is what I do think that people who are on the systems administration side, they should get the hardware and the software engineers, they should get the network engineering so that they can be able to correspond and do less iteration. So yeah, you wanting to get that is definitely going to help you, Ty. I really think that that's really good thinking. Like, you know what? At some point, I want to get more hands-on experience. So you're definitely taking the right mindset and the path in the future to start doing that. At this point, I'm going to ask you, is there any kind of feedback that you would like to give to Maurice? I know you may have heard, some of the things that I shared earlier about the direction I'm taking him in with his pursuits and his passions are. Is there any feedback or any questions that you would like to ask him?
Yeah, Maurice. Not necessarily a question. I'll just give you a little bit of motivation, man. So, or just something that you can use when you're down, man. So, like this is all about passion, man. Don't necessarily think about the certifications or man, I gotta have this because if you have the skill, nobody can take that away from you.
Mhm.
Because as you will realize is if you want to go up or let's say in a higher role, it's all about what you can negotiate and what you can provide to the company, right? So once you go in these, like I said, once you understand and once you get a good grasp of everything, if you want to make more money, right? It's about okay, this is what I provide. Now the ball is in your court. So, man, it's gonna be beautiful, man. So power to you, man. And I can't wait to see your success, man.
All
All right.
right. Thank you.
You got any questions for him, Maurice?
Were you ever drafted by an MLB team?
Man, so this is the thing. So when I was in college, I went to a D2 school, right?
Oh,
Or a lower D1. And if I would have kept playing, I could have got drafted. Like I was on the draft board for the Arizona Diamondbacks. But
oh, nice.
the only thing is I was a bottom tier school. So yeah, man. And then I just lost the passion. I honestly lost the passion to play.
Do you
And
still
that
play baseball right now or
I
no?
don't, man. This is overtaking my passion. Like I said, but I want to do what I have working in the near future is I'm going to open up a facility,
Mhm.
and half this facility is going to be athletes, and the other part of the facility is going to be tech. So I'm going to be doing that. Also, I'm trying to go to the board of education in my local community and see if we can get school buses to drop local city community kids off at my facility, like after school
Nice.
program, man. So
Nice.
yes,
Yeah,
sir.
sweet.
So
Any more questions?
That's it.
all
That's
right,
it.
bro.
All right.
All right, all right, Maurice.
All right. See you later.
All right, Maurice. So this is Maurice Van Loo. You know, we're on the next interview. So can you introduce him? Tell me your name, your role, and what you do, and what got you into the tech space?
Say my name, my role, what I do, and I got you. My name is Laquan Cruz. What I do or my role, well, I work with Accenture right now. I guess you could call me an analyst, like because how Accenture is like consulting. So like even though we do consulting, I do more of the cybersecurity role like in our consulting space. So even though you could be doing like a bunch of things in regards to like engineering and stuff, I mostly handle the cybersecurity side of it. I do vulnerability management for one of our clients. So that's what I do and essentially my role. What got me interested into tech? That's a good question. I find that in the tech space, you get to solve a lot of complex problems, and I feel like I have like a natural curiosity towards things. And because I have a natural curiosity, they have complex problems, they kind of just go together and mesh to where, I can ask questions and solve different problems in that space. And since there's always new problems or new things that may come up, my curiosity is always ever evolving and growing. So it just kind of always helps me to stay new and passionate about the career or field.
Okay. Can you speak more to the vulnerability? Did you say that you know from the consulting side, but you deal with the cybersecurity and the vulnerability? So what does that look like? Is there auditing tools? Is it like analytical tools such as maybe some Splunk, Wireshark? Are you doing the pen testing, red team, blue team, purple? Like, can you speak a little bit more in depth
Yeah,
what
no
that looks like for you?
I don't know how much I can actually say, but we use a software called Rapid7. I'm pretty sure that's like regular software. So we use a software called Rapid7 to look for vulnerabilities for our client. We don't use Wireshark or anything. I know of all those technical terms already, but in there we more so create, like you said, audit using a, what do you call it? A server. We use like a specific server. It has like two different servers they want us to do. So you go in, create the server. I look up like specific IP addresses. So we use like ServiceNow like as a ticketing system. So usually on a day-to-day, I go into the ticketing system in ServiceNow. They'll be like, hey, they'll assign me a ticket and be like, hey, can you look up like these 10 different IP addresses for us? We need a vulnerability test scan run, and then just trying to generate the report like in an Excel spreadsheet with all the vulnerabilities that may be done for that those IP addresses. So basically just, easy go in, copy and paste, plug it in, do the vulnerability test. It should take like 10 to 20 minutes on a regular. After that's done, create a report with the template, format it so like everything looks nice and clean for whoever's reading the data, and then I just send data over to my manager or the client so they can look at it and just dissect the data in another way to see where the vulnerabilities are and what they may need to patch up. So whether it's something like Apache or Microsoft Excel or I'm trying to figure out Adobe or anything, like there's a bunch of different softwares and vulnerabilities that could be going on with the client. So they just look through that and see what may need to be improved and what the patch teams needs to go fix, essentially.
Okay. That was pretty good. So why tech for you?
Why tech for me?
Yeah, like why did you choose to get into tech out of all the things you could do?
At first it was just for the money, honestly. It just seemed like it was paying the most, But then, like I said, I just started to get more interested in it the more I did it, because like I said, it's always like something new. And even though like I've been interested in tech, I use technology every day kind of. And like I'm always interested in like the new technology that's always coming out. So like, whenever there's like an Apple event or whatever, I make sure to watch it just because I'm interested in, the ever evolving world. When AI came out, I was like one of the first people to start using it, like ChatGPT and stuff like that. So I think just tech as a whole or as a concept interests me. So because of that is why I was like, well, if I like the idea and like actual technology so much, maybe I should work, because when I went to school for business administration, but then I came to find out that like I didn't really know what I wanted to do in business administration. And then from the jobs I had before, I was working like in logistics and transportation and stuff like that. And in those roles, we were also like kind of like tech based a little bit. So it was like logistics, but using a lot of like tech and new technologies. So from there, that kind of makes me wanted to transition into that too. So,
Okay. Did you find it challenging when you started off? And what certifications, if you have any certifications or degrees you have?
yeah, I got my Security Plus. Was it challenging? At first, yeah. But I think what was challenging is I was trying to get 3 certifications at one time instead of just the
Mm.
one. So I was studying for the CompTIA A plus, the CompTIA Network Plus, and Security Plus all at the same time. And
The exam cram method.
yeah. And all three of those things to learn at one time is very difficult because they're a bunch of different subject matters and they're very, long, extra strenuous
Yes.
tests. So at first, when I was going through the A plus, I just couldn't get it. I think because it's more so like hardware based and like I can get the software stuff down pat, but hardware is kind of like difficult. So like they wanted me to like build a computer like from scratch or whatever.
Mhm.
And I didn't necessarily know all the components that may have fit. So like they were like, if you wanted to build a computer for like gaming, or if you want to build a computer for just different purposes, which processor would you use? How would you do this and which one's better? And that's kind of stuff I kind of tripped up about. And I was like,
Mm.
I don't really know what's the difference between this and that. So that was the hard part. But then when I started to like just focus on the security aspect and when I was studying for my security plus, things kind of came easier because I was more so studying about the stuff that like I actually were interested in and the stuff that I wanted to get more involved in. So in the beginning it was difficult. It probably took me like honestly, I want to say like 6 months, because like I said, I was jumping back and forth between three tests. But once I started just honing on security plus, it did kind of get easier and the knowledge wasn't as hard to retain. And so far it's been getting easier as well because I'm pursuing other certifications like in
Mm.
my current job because they like pay for my certifications that I want to get now. So it's gotten easier as the time has gone across.
Okay. Um, let's see. Do you ever see yourself transitioning into entrepreneurship
Uh, maybe one day, yeah.
one day?
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay. Would you ever go back to get some hardware experience?
Hardware, probably not. I mean, it depends on the hardware. Maybe if it's like very like on the basic type level, yeah. But I don't think I want to ever get like too in depth with it because it's just so much more information to like kind of start over
Right.
and learn. Way and I do like software just because it seems kind of like more natural and easier to me. So I think that's just where I'd stick to.
That's good. All right. Any questions for Maurice or any feedback? I'm quite sure you remember or heard a little bit of the direction that he's going. Any kind of questions you may have for him or any kind of feedback you want to give him?
Um, no, not necessarily. What direction was he going in? Because I actually wasn't here for
Oh,
the
yeah,
beginning. So if you told me that, I
yes,
could
I'm
probably
glad
have
you
some
said
more
that.
feedback.
Yeah, so he's actually he has IT fundamentals experience. A plus. That was from high school.
Yeah.
So he knows how to put computers, assemble computers, disassemble the computers. Understands a little bit about the RAM, the CPU, putting all those things together. We actually were doing that this week and a little bit last week, as far as taking the computers apart, and he still remembers a lot of that information and how it works the BIOS setup. And so for him, I was like you were saying, one A plus has the core 1 and core 2,
Yeah,
and it's a lot of information,
it is.
and not all the information is essential,
Mhm.
and some of the information, some of the equipment is legacy. So I said, you know what, instead of going to get your A plus and get your IT fundamentals, you know the knowledge.
Mhm.
You don't need the search, as everybody was saying today. I think what is really critical and essential is that you specialize into a field that will allow you to utilize the hands-on, because he likes the hands-on,
Mhm.
and so I'm like, get the server, because now you can, as you're doing this now, we can still prepare you to work at Geek Squad,
Mhm.
but then we will work to get you into a data center.
Mhm.
There's a lot of data centers that are keep opening up in Virginia. It's like it's competing with Texas is having, the top data centers.
Yeah.
And you can be a server, you can work to be a server administrator. Start off getting the data center as far as the hands-on go.
Mhm.
And then the next level, you get that Linux administrator, server administrator, you can start working remotely
Right.
as you got that hands-on experience. So that's the path. So right now we're focusing on getting him this server plus, and we're doing it one at a time. Then he's getting security plus.
Mhm.
And in between that, he's going to be learning Linux,
Mhm.
learning Linux command line, and learning also PowerShell. So he got to have that Microsoft and server management and that Linux administration management mixture.
I got you. Yeah, that sounds best. Okay, great. Well, now with that, I do have feedback then. Let me see. I'll probably just say like 3 different things. So I'd say one important thing in all of like that is just perseverance in regards to in every aspect. So like in studying and learning to get the certifications, perseverance is like the best thing I could say to always have. That's what got me through it when even sometimes it was like hard for like studying and things like that. And then also even when like just applying to like different roles and jobs, I'd say always keep trying no matter like if you get denials or whatever like that, and apply for everything out there because you never know what you might get. You know what I'm saying? The role I had now came out of nowhere. Like I didn't even apply to it. Someone just reached out on LinkedIn to me and I was
Wow.
like, hey, do you want to work at
Praise
this
God.
company? And I didn't even know what Accenture was at the time. And now I'm working there for a minute now. I'm enjoying it. It's pretty good. I wouldn't regret it. So I'd definitely say perseverance and never giving up and just focusing on knowing what you want and keep going through it. That's one thing I'd say. And then a second thing, which could help him as an easy entry point, is definitely look up internships with different companies too. Because as you were saying, he's starting on the fundamentals and you want to like kind of move him up do different things. Internships are always like a great way to do that. I started out with an apprenticeship right now with Accenture. So
Mm.
and then from there you can transition probably like after 6 months or a year, depending on like what the company has for you. But stuff like that, you also don't necessarily need a certification to like get in the door. And then even when you're there, they may pay for it as well. So you don't have to like use your hard-earned money. So I definitely say that if you can't get like a full-time role, at least looking for internships, starting off where they'd be like paid or I mean, I would mostly go for paid, of course. But yeah, whatever you can experience you can get just so it can look good on like, your background when you show it to them. And then do I have anything else? No, I'm just pretty much just keep being passionate and enjoying the learning journey as he goes through the different certifications and learning more about IT. So
So I guess you would say that having a good LinkedIn presence is important.
yeah, I'm still trying to master that myself. My girlfriend usually is better at that than me, so I usually ask her for help when it comes to LinkedIn. But yeah, I'm definitely getting better at having a better LinkedIn presence and knowing the right people so that you can stay connected. And if they ever have a role that may suit you, they can reach out to you and that could work out. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Maurice, any questions? Any
Mm,
feedback?
Not at the moment.
All right. I definitely appreciate you, my guy.
No problem.
Yeah.
No problem. Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you too.
All righty. So this is Maurice Van Lowe. Apprenticeship. He's my apprentice and my mentee. And for him and for the record, can you state your name, your role, and what got you into the tech?
Okay. I'm Elizabeth Bellevue. I'm currently a senior account executive at Actual Agency, which is a B2B technology integrated communications firm that offers full service from marketing to digital to website building to public relations, media relations for leading tech companies or even startups as well. The company that I work at, they have a good history of working with startups to just help them get their brand out there through the media. If they have any leaders that they want to showcase as thought leaders, we make sure that we include that too. And it was founded in Silicon Valley. It's a small agency, but we always say that we're a small team, but the work that we do is mighty. So yeah, that's what I do currently. Right now I work with two client accounts. One is a vertical SaaS software for professional services and for the professional services industry. So they basically provide cloud services for consulting firms like Accenture. Not Accenture isn't their customer, but companies like that. And then I have another client, which is Privacera, which is a AI data security governance company. And they are all about securing, big company data, making sure we are mitigating, companies are mitigating risks, especially with the rise of generative AI, and all of the cyber attacks that have been happening with, bad actors who are using AI to, commit these crimes because it is a crime to, do data breaches. And then, sorry, I have another client, which is O2 Commerce, sorry, which is, they are they are an e-commerce platform. They basically provide tech for retailers. And businesses that sell, you know, whether it's clothes, food, or whatever the case may be. And tech for me, so I've been in public relations for a little bit over 3 years. I started PR in like the advocacy, social justice, political area, and then, you know, some nonprofits and associations. But I did have some experience working with, you know, a few tech organizations. And then one day I was in the process of finding a new job, a new agency to work at, not knowing like where I was going to land in. Because with PR, the good thing about it is as long as you're a PR professional, you're able to work in different areas, whether it's tech, fashion, whatever the case may be. But I was applying to you know, agencies that had a tech focus because I was interested in the tech industry at the time. So that's how I got into tech. While I don't have a tech role or work at a tech company, I just make sure that I attend events like this where I'm networking with other tech enthusiasts or professionals and leaders. But yeah, that's a gist of it.
Okay. So if I got that right, so you have a 9 to 5 in a business.
No,
So you just,
I just have a 9 to 5.
okay, you just have a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. Could you see yourself doing that as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I've thought about having my own public relations firm and agency. That takes